It's looking more and more like PlayStation is working on a handheld thanks to an update, so let's talk about it. Sony's handhelds have always been a paradox. They're amazing, but then they don't support them, so they fail. The PSP was revolutionary, and people are still using it as an emulation device even until now. And the Vita was way ahead of its time, performing nearly as well as the Switch, yet being even smaller than the Switch Lite. But like Sony always does, they abandon it, and then they blame the gamers for not supporting it when it fails because they didn't support it themselves. But there's hope that with them seeing what's happened with the Switch, that they're going to want to make a handheld, especially with the handheld market being so hot when it comes to gaming PCs. Well, recently there's been an update showing some things that they're going to be introducing into the PS5, and one of them was a power saving mode. And so Sony says that in their pursuit to try to be more green, they're going to introduce a power saving mode which can be enabled by players, which will reduce the power consumption of a console. But it won't be available for a while, and that got people thinking, is this now for a handheld rather than the actual console? Because the reality is that after the Switch, we've all become accustomed to being able to play our full-fledged games in handheld, and we don't want two separate versions anymore. And because handheld PCs are so capable, Sony has kind of no choice but to make a handheld that could play PS5 games, but at a lower graphics set. And so this update makes everybody wonder if they're working on a new handheld that they haven't announced yet, and that the power saving mode is more for that rather than the actual console. So now the real question is, who's willing to trust Sony after they've abandoned the PSP, PS Vita, PS Portal, PSVR, PSVR 2? Would you be willing to handle a PS5 handheld? Let me know.